Hey guys, welcome to the Real Deal Unmasked.
So today we're going to be talking about jealousy. The question that we have today is, am I a jealous spouse? Am I? Don't answer that. So to help you answer that question, we're just going to touch on 3 points to help you know the signs. So one of the first things is, are you someone that's snooping around? Every time your spouse puts their phone down, or you going through their phone, every time your wife puts her bag down, or you going through a bag, going through her stuff, every time your spouse leaves the house, are you constantly calling and asking them to check every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes? Are you constantly on them, checking them?
If any of those points that my husband just mentioned, it's safe to say that you are jealous. And it's sad because remember, in order to have a happy and fulfilling relationship, you have to trust your spouse. You definitely have to trust your spouse.
Right. And they have to feel comfortable. If they're feeling that they have to constantly check in every few minutes, if they feel that they cannot leave anything down, you're going to go through it. If they have to give you a detailed report of every single thing, as if they're in school, then you're making them uncomfortable, and your relationship is, you're just going through the motions, and you will eventually find yourselves in some serious challenges down the line, because there's going to be that person that you're displaying that jealousy toward, they're going to be feeling very bad about themselves. You're going to be affecting their self-esteem, and eventually you're putting your relationship in jeopardy.
Absolutely.
So what's the next thing that they can look out for?
Accusing.
Accusing? Like what?
You're always accusing your spouse. You don't trust your spouse. You just keep accusing. If they do not answer the phone on the first ring, who you talking to? Who you being? Who you on the phone with?
Wow.
Why you didn't answer my call?
Wow.
Or don't let them try to FaceTime them, and they're to work on a professional job, and you decline the face call. I thought you was to work. Who's in the office with you?
Wow. Or if you're at work in your office and your spouse calls and there are people in the background laughing, who are those people laughing in the background? Why are they laughing?
That's so familiar.
It sounds so familiar.
Oh my goodness.
Why are those women laughing?
Oh my goodness.
They laughing at you? They laughing with you?
Why are you guys having so much fun in there?
You're supposed to be to work?
Too much fun. That was not me, guys. There was a time when I used to do that. I would call him and I'm hearing long laughter. I'm like, hey, this is party time? Why are you laughing? And why does it sound like a bunch of women in your office? I had it bad, guys. And my husband would just laugh at me and say, I'm going to have to call you back, okay? Which made it even worse. It's like, what do you mean you're going to call me back? So that was some serious times that we had to go through. It was some serious times. Thank God for grace. You remember that?
How can I forget?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So it's very important. I'm so sorry for cutting you off. It's very important to trust each other. Listen, we've been there and we've done that. So I think we're qualified to talk about it. And a lot of people do not know that they are jealous. It's sad that, people think that's normal until you end up meeting other people, you hanging with your girlfriends or or your guys, and then you realize that when you have a conversation, deep inside that this ain't normal. And so that's when the problem is gonna stir up, because now you know that this is not normal, and now you want to try and fight against it. So it's important that you look at the signs, know where you're at. So another point that we want to discuss with whether or not you are a jealous spouse is the way you act with your partner. Okay? And let me give you an example. Every family function or every work function that your spouse may want to attend, you have a problem with it. Especially if you're not invited. You have a problem with her going or a problem with he going because you're jealous. And, when you finally tell her, yeah, you get a problem with what you want to put on. That's a problem. Because now, to me, it's like, is that your child? Or am I your servant? Don't mix it up now. I'm not saying not to be respectful and, go by, what your partner wants to see you in. But there's something called an overdue, where you're expecting the ridiculous. What am I making sense to you?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's really someone that is controlling and you're in complete control over your spouse. That's a level of jealousy. It's an extreme level of jealousy, where you're not allowing them to be their own person. You're not allowing them to make their own decisions. You're not allowing them to go to functions or have certain friends. You're just controlling. You're being that person that has your spouse feeling that they're in a box, that they are unable to be their true self. And what that does is, by doing that and continuously being controlling, you force your spouse to now, people lose their identity because of having a jealous spouse, because of committing to a relationship where they're allowing someone to dictate to them to the point where they can't make certain decisions. I'm not saying that you need to make every decision, but there are some, and a relationship is made of two individuals. It's okay for your spouse to make decisions on their own. They're individual. It's okay for you to make decisions on your own. But when it comes to family, certain things that you need to sit down and discuss. But you still need to have liberties in your relationship, liberties to be able to have friends, to be able to go to functions, to be able to hop in your car and go to the store without having to check in every 5 minutes, every 2 minutes. Because what you're doing when you do that, you're exhibiting a controlling personality. And in doing so, what you're creating with the other person is you're causing them to, either they're going to ball up and go in this place where they lose their identity, or they're going to be someone that's going to be resenting, and they're going to build up anger toward you, and eventually they're going to act out in many different ways. People act out by doing the thing that you're trying to prevent them from doing, which is end up in a relationship or fooling with somebody else, or they end up leaving, or then people end up being emotionally checked out in a relationship. So they could be just in the house with you going through the motions because you've displayed such a level of jealousy toward them and a level of control that you've taken their personality, you've taken their voice. A lot of people are in relationships, especially in Christian marriages, where the wife does not have a voice. That's not godly, that's ungodly, that's not the way it's supposed to be. Your spouse is supposed to be your helpmeet. How can they be your helpmeet if they can't speak, if they can't voice the way they feel? You allow your kids to voice their opinions. But your spouse can't, your wife can't. She can't tell me how she feels. She can't tell you how we should go about doing this. But you're taking advice from your children rather than your spouse.
That's deep.
That's a level of control that comes under jealousy. And we have to understand that what it does is it cripples your relationship. You can only go to a certain level. You can only be to a certain point. And what happens is you may have one person thinking that everything is going all good, when the other person is just dying inside, dying to get out of that relationship, dying to get out of that bondage. And you don't realize that you're creating a bigger challenge than you think.
Wow.
So you have to be extremely careful and understand that you can be controlling to the point where you think you have control over your relationship, but really what you're doing is you are controlling your relationship. You're controlling your relationship to the point where you're pushing it to the brink of no return.
Wow.
Where you're causing your spouse to don't want to be with you, don't want to be around you, and happy whenever they get a little break from you, as opposed to want to be with you. So we have to be so careful because this thing called marriage and relationship, it's a very serious thing. A lot of people get into it not understanding that marriage is made of compromising. You have to be someone that's willing to be a compromising person. You have to be, as a leader, you have to be understanding and respectful and understanding that yes, the Bible says that wives should submit to their own husbands. But the Bible also says that a husband should love their wives as Christ loves the church and gave himself for it. That's an even greater level of submission. Wow. To submit your life and give your life. That's greater than what you use the word submission for. Submission doesn't mean you have them in a chokehold or you have them in a lock. Submission means that this person is giving their life to be with you and has chosen to be with you so that you guys can form a good union. It doesn't mean every time you speak, they stop, bow down, and say, yes, master.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Who would want someone to do everything that they say? Listen, a real man wants somebody to be their helpmeet. They want someone to help to push them. Someone who has goals and ideas and a vision for their relationship. It's not just based on my view. It's not just based on me. A true man wants his wife to be a true helpmeet. In business, there's this thing called a CEO, a CFO, and COO. Well, you can be the CEO and you can be the CFO, but you need to have your wife as the COO, the Chief Operating Officer. So her opinion matters, her view matters, your spouse's view matter, your husband's view matter, because you have some wives who think they're because they're more educated than their husband, don't allow their husband's opinion, or that they don't validate their husband by not allowing them to give an opinion, because I'm the one that works in the business field. You may work in the construction field, so you don't have a voice. Or I'm the man, so really what I say goes. That's not how it works. At the end of the day, we do have the responsibility as men, as the leader of the home. But being a true leader means you understand that you need help. You're not the only person with a brain. Why marry someone that don't have a brain, that you don't want them to think, or you don't want them to say anything? So we have to be so careful with how we treat our spouse, how we conduct ourselves, and understand if you fall under any of these categories, that you really need to step back and say, well, how can I change? What can I do to treat my spouse differently? Why is it, first and foremost, why am I treating my spouse this way? Is this something that I saw my father do with my mother? Or my grandfather with my grandmother? Is this something that is in my lineage, in the way that the men in my family normally treat the women that they help? Or is it I'm treating my spouse this way because I'm seeing somebody and I want to make sure they're not seeing somebody as well?
Wow.
So listen, we have to be careful, because if you want a successful, if you want a happy and fulfilled relationship, you have to be open and honest with yourself first and with your spouse, and ensure that you treat them the right way, that you treat your spouse the way that you want to be treated. You're not going to get out of your spouse what you don't put in. So if you put in jealousy, which comes under what comes under jealousy is you have them in a place where they feel trapped, where they feel smothered, where they feel choked, then you expect to have a loving, happy home. That's not going to happen. So you have to take a look at yourself. You have to make some decisions that there are some things about you that you're going to need to change. And if you need assistance with that, there are many people out there that do counseling. Find someone that can help you. Don't just go talk to your brother out there. Yeah, man, I can help you. Listen, go find some real help.
Yes.
Get some real help. There's help out there.
Yes.
So we hope that something that we said in our video was able to help you guys. We thank you so much for tuning in to our videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And hit the notification bell.
So thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.